Hola, log. Hello, people. Hi. So, I got a nice coffee. And the number today is 9696. I got it I placed the order at 12:05, and I am just now getting to it. See? There you go. It's kind of cold. Kind of cool. I wouldn't say cold. Anyway, we're just gonna get right into it. Disclaimers at the top. Take it as it resonates. If it don't resonate, don't take it. Things are, I almost want to say, in flux, but I almost more accurately want to say are in a position of unfolding in a way to be, I want to say, realized. Oh, okay. I like the word realized in terms of like someone coming to a realization, but there is a connotation of realizing that is something more of like recognition. And they're not necessarily different, but one has a heavier implication that the thing has been seen, felt, or experienced before. And that's not necessarily my intention. Also, I have sweat. So I'm using the Disology cards as intro to whatever, and then I will fill out where we go from there. So I'll do a full shuffle and clean flip and clean fall, and we'll just get into it. Oh, something just flipped over real clean. I think it's only one. Oh, oof. Seven of Diamonds, a well crafted illusion, a contaminant blowing in the breeze, searching for an open eye. I could use the Disology thing. I could. Will I? Sure. Why not? Let me get it set up. The thing about this card in particular, and it's the Seven of Pentacles. I feel like I've seen the Seven of Pentacles recently. The thing about the well crafted illusion is that it, from the outside, you can tell how shoddy it is. It's a bespoke illusion. I think I'm using that word right because I was seeing bespoke everywhere. And as I was like applying for jobs and stuff, it was like bespoke, bespoke, bespoke. I'm like, okay, it's a word that I've heard, but what does it mean? And to the best of my comprehension and recollection, it's something that's like custom made for a person or for a purpose or for a company or whatever, like tailor made. And this illusion is bespoke. It's a bespoke illusion. Because it's a bespoke illusion, it's like very, very, very well crafted for slash to the person that finds themselves like under it. But from outside, you can tell the complete illusory nature of the thing. Right? And that's why with the second line, it's the contaminant in the breeze searching for an open eye. Kind of like something or someone who is vulnerable to it. Again, what's at the bottom of the deck while I wait for this program to open? Bottom of the deck is the day of longest light or night, a garment for all occasions, filling a gap. Five of clubs. We just saw the five of wands with copper yesterday for the, here we go. Um, and that was the Alchemy of Neptune before retrograde, pre-retrograde. Let's see if this still works. Do I gotta be like over here? I don't know. I can just move it though. I think I may. Well, oh, Wait, it wasn't locked and I just locked it. There we go. And I don't need this much space. Shout out to Rob. Oh no. Shout out to Rob Kenobi for the techno wizardry. I had been using OBS for like so long. And I was like, I wish I could like crop these. And he was like, oh, just hold Alt. I was like, what? I could have been cropping them this whole time? There you go. Cool. That is. We can take this up a little bit too. Just tighten the window a little bit, you know? There we go. So, then I'm gonna open this. I guess on your screen it's fine. On mine, it like sits behind the timer a little bit. I can move it down a little. I can do that. Cool. Then we're over here. This. I need to open this. I've been forcing the camera to focus a lot lately rather than just letting it do its blurry thing. Cool. All right. So, day of longest light or night is the solstice. We just had a solstice. I forgot about that. Well, I didn't forget. We just had summer solstice in the north hemisphere, winter in the southern hemisphere, which reminds me, it's fine. I think I need to like pause to think more. I get the opportunity whenever I like go to the bathroom or like text or eat. A garment for all occasions, filling a gap. This well crafted illusion fills a gap. This. I don't know. I almost wish I had a deck of nightmares, realities, and illusions. Right? Something that's like, this is something real, this is something imagined. Or this is like something relative, this is something subjective, this is something objective, this is something absolute, this is what something truly is, and this is the truth that, like, this is a conclusion that we reach based on the limited information that we have available to us. It's almost giving. I've seen a few like supernatural things, and outside of that, I just saw because I'm always seeing something. I just saw a short like yesterday. Some show with some kid and like I need a retwist. Look at that. I mean, that's just like hair back there, but anyway, it's fun. A lot of new growth, and it's been like 2 months. There are things that like shortcuts that the brain takes. So in the clip, there was a kid on a bed and some older healthcare assuming guy, and he had a deck of cards, much like kind of like these, a deck of playing cards. And he was like, I'm going to show you suits. He was like, I'm going to show you some cards and say the suit, and we'll go quicker and quicker. By the end of it, there were like black hearts and red spades. And the kid was like, that's not fair. And the guy, it was one of those like, um, a lot of our reality is based upon perception and stuff like that. And when we aren't necessarily paying attention, our brains sort of like auto populate responses. Like whenever you're trying to text and autocorrect is screwing with you. If you don't pay attention, then you can send the text, right? So it's almost like it's something that's hidden in plain sight, but the brain just like automatically fills gaps to like cover something up. It's like that. What am I doing? It's an ICC. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. All right, let's give these a roll. We're gonna run all. I don't know why I put like timers in some of this. Of course. Well, the high priestess is here now. She wasn't here yesterday. It was the moon and the queen of swords yesterday. Oh, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that the high priestess energy is here because again, it feels like the pattern or behavior of the brain to automatically fill in gaps is kind of sort of being taken advantage. It's not necessarily being taken advantage of in like a deceiving way. It's just like a in a very natural way for things something to hide in plain sight. And the shidiness of the illusion is like if you pay attention to it, you would see the gaps. If you were really paying attention, like the kid would have noticed that the spades were red and the hearts were black. And the doctor was like, the guy, because I'm pretty sure he wasn't a doctor, not a medical doctor, but he could have been. I don't know. I don't know what the show was. He was like, you've only seen red hearts and black spades, so you're assuming that they can't be any other color. This devil energy is interesting, though. It could be something that we put on devil energy, not looking at the truth of like what's actually happening. You know what I mean? What am I going to use? Scorpio, Virgo, Aquarius, the crown, water, and air. I don't know what deck to use. Give me a second. I'm gonna get the mystical shaman, and I'm gonna pull before and after water and air. We'll start there. Oof. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do for a second. There you go. You can look at that. Um, I almost grabbed the mystical shaman and the archeo, but I wanted to get the diceology first. So we'll start with the water and air of the mystical shaman. I could look at that'd be a lot of alchemy. I don't think I have any. I mean, I'm sure I have the. I was gonna grab this deck too. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be a lot. One thing that I like, I read how I read, and I trust that between my capabilities and your intuition and discernment and the ever presence of the divine, like what needs to come through or be picked up will be. But there have been a few times when I've like had intentions of being able to read like multiple cards succinctly without like going in the details of every single card that I see. And I haven't historically necessarily been that great at it. Of course, it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm gonna go live and try to do this, and then it ends up turning into something completely different. Maybe I'll have better success today. And yeah, okay. So I have pulled out. I'm gonna pull before and after these. I've pulled out the Mystical Shaman Oracle cards to get before and after water and air. I don't have anything for the crown. Don't need it. I don't have a tarot deck. I have the SKT, but the names are different. So I'm not going to use either one of these. I have the. Oh, I am doing something from the crown. There's a crown portal in the magical dimensions, oracle cards and activators. I'm going to pull. These don't have. Why did I pull these? They have planets. They don't have zodiacs. I don't think I have a deck with the zodiac signs as cards. Now I could use the Revelations edition is at the top. And I'll go with the Revelations edition because it's something about this illusion breaking down. I can pull before and after death, the Hermit, and the Star for Scorpio, Virgo, and Aquarius. I don't know what I'm going to do about the High Priestess and the Devil. I have a mini Santa Muerte, and I used the La Santa Muerte Lenormand last time. I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily necessary. You know? Oh no! Oh no, girl! No, no! I have no interest. One of my one of my friends was like, I was gonna say, what did she say? He said he was like something that was like, I never knew that empathic something would have me face my fears or whatever. And it was like a picture of a bug. He was holding a bug. I was like, you're better than me. And I'm glad that the world has folks like you. And then he was just like, oh, it's not as whatever as you think. I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be. I'm not interested. I'm not the type of person that I need to do everything or prove that I can do something. I have the interest that I have, and there are the things that I need to do that I may not necessarily want to do. But I don't have anything to prove to anybody. So you can miss me with that one. In the case that somebody's life is on the line, maybe someday I'll step up. But before then, I have no interest. I actually have a disinterest. So, all right. The Knight of Cups and the Archangel of Mysteries at the cut. We saw that Shining Waters. Did we see that or did I see it? I think we saw it. The Outlaw just flipped over. Redemption and Sacrifice. Bottom of the deck is the Pugilist that we did see recently. I'm just getting all of these out of the box and shuffled up so I can use them. Oof. I just saw the standstill. Oof. Even, yeah. When was, I mean, it had to be what, the 20 21st or 22nd of June. Actually, maybe on the calendar. I don't have my iPad within grabbing range, so I'm not going to look too hard at the astrology. Solstice, there we go. I'm like, it was June 20th. Okay. Filling a gap. What am I doing? I keep like putting my glasses on and taking them off. Am I going to go up? I'm just going to pull all of these. And then we'll see. This is not shuffling. There we go. Is that angelic assistance, celestial assistance, and trust? Trust, celestial assistance. Oh, my glasses. Interesting. Is that Boys Who Cry from Bob's Burgers? I want to know your secrets. I'm so interested in you. Trust, transformation, and oneness. Trust, celestial assistance, trust, transformation, and oneness. The throat portal just flipped out. With magical realms at the bottom of the deck. And trust is behind magical ones. There's a lot of trust today. Throat portal and the outlaw. Okay. We'll start with the mystical shaman. Bottom of the deck is wind. Is there an air card? Or is it? I think it is wind. It's wind and taming the wind. I don't think there's a card that says air. So here we are already. And the giveaway. Then we're looking for water. I almost did water from this deck. Well, I almost did these in using the elemental oracle too. It may actually be air in that deck. Two birds, interesting. And then there's the luminous warrior. So the hunter and the luminous warrior. It's before the before and after the after. The luminous warrior is number 32. And the giveaway is number 23. It's interesting that there are all of these little orby things on the giveaway. And we see them floating on the luminous warrior. Heart of the Sky is the bottom now. So the owl, water, and the eagle, or just eagle. 1639, 16 is the major. No, 16 is the tower. Like two birds beside the water. That's kind of. There we go. There we go. Oh, look, and then there's this winged lady. See, she's got like feathers. Okay. Also, the hanged one is water. The outlaw. See, the glyph for water. And you could say the throat portal is associated with air, the element of air, especially in terms of like communication, but it's spoken communication rather than it's more like more spoken given than received. Who am I looking for? The crown portal. So we have breakthrough, the crown portal, and liberation. Breakthrough and liberation. What a combination. Love that. The guardians and reflective truth are before and after the after. And then before and after that is this exploration and wisdom. Reflective truth is going to be at the bottom as I put these together. And then I need death, the hermit, and the healer. The reaper, the erudite, and the healer. Even though I already shuffled this deck. Oop. Was that a flip? Nah. All right. The high priestess is at the bottom of the deck, or the priestess with the archangel commander and the cluster. What an interesting combination. The priestess, the archangel commander, the quester, and the destroyer. All these swords. There's an energy here of being guided, but truly in the way of guidance. Like something is not being, it's not being told with the priestess and the archangel commander. It's like being prepared for something in life without being told what someone is being prepared for. So cue like feelings of destiny at the very least. And it's something that feels like destiny because it feels like when a time comes or when a moment happens, someone can like see how they've been prepared for that moment, even though they were never like explicitly told. And again, that's like when I say it feels like true guidance, it's that there's a kind of guidance that's a little bit more hand-holdy and manipulative, not manipulative in necessarily a bad way, but manipulative in a way of like, this is what's coming, this is what's going to happen, these are the things that you're going to do in order to make sure that you can get whatever done, right? Especially like being told, because then everything that you do becomes for like a singular purpose rather than more organically interacting with situations and circumstances, living life, and then like something happening, right? And there's a whole story with the Archangel Commander. Who am I looking for? That's Sagittarius. So, of course, we have the Journeyman, the Healer, and the Dynasty. Eight of Pentacles, Ten of Pentacles, flanking Aquarian energy. Archangel of Mysteries was before that, and the Golden Shield is after. I can look at the signs. I need Scorpio and Virgo. We have the Tower, the Erudite, and Apocalypse. So no Virgo. Virgo ain't like purification for no girl. Scorpio, Archangel of Glory, the Reaper, and the Dark Horse. We've seen the Dark Horse in this deck recently. The Wheel of Life and the Ivory Shield are before and after that. Cool. Now I'm going to attempt to put this together and not read every single card like individually. I mean, not have to talk about every single one. You know what I mean? Like Virgo has straight up major arcana energy. What's also interesting is Apocalypse is fire, is Pluto, is Scorpio in a way. Mars rules Scorpio. Traditionally, we talked about that like yesterday. There's this like earth, fire between Aquarius and Virgo. And then, no, Aquarius and Scorpio. And then, like, straight up major arcana energy around Virgo. Seven of Wands, King of Wands, Ten of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles. The Destroyer is at the bottom over here. What was the order? Scorpio, Virgo, Aquarius. Did these come out in reverse order? There's almost visual similarity. It feels like it between the Journeyman and this Reflective Truth. Maybe it's just the. Is that a diadem? Circlet diadem looking thingy? I don't know. Yeah. But it's like it's this person in Reflective Truth rather than it being either one of these. Liberation, breakthrough, love that energy. The destroyer is also here. Then we have the giveaway, the eagle, the owl. Cool. What is all this? We don't have the high priestess and the devil. I didn't pull before and after those. I may have bitten off. Let's try to comprehend and understand. So between the zodiacs, Scorpio and Aquarius square, Virgo sextile Scorpio, and what's that? I think I've seen it as in conjunct. Um, it's the 150. Yeah, because it's Virgo Pisces. So it's not sesquiquadrate. Anyway, it's this, as I've seen it before, a strange relationship that's sometimes antagonistic, sometimes supportive. It kind of toes the line between, and I'm sure it can be tipped more so one way or the other. Now, that relationship between Aquarius and Virgo is marked by the Tower and Apocalypse versus the Tower and Apocalypse on one side with the Journeyman and the Dynasty on the other. Because of how it reads, because the cards are what the cards are, it reads like it would tend more towards a not great relationship because on the side of Aquarius, you have like hard work, dedication, and then you have a card of like legacies. But next to Virgo is like the Tower and Apocalypse. It's like not only structures, organizations, and things of that nature falling apart, but it's like the world at large is falling apart. Now, what's in favor and that sextile that provides opportunity, I guess, to that is the Seven of Wands and the essentially the King of Wands, which would be like someone who stands apart and then makes a name for themselves. Someone who like does the unpopular sort of thing and becomes almost like a ruler, finds themselves in a position of power and like of having their desires met because of it. So you could see why that more like individualistic, individual sort of accomplishment could also square like hard work, determination, a more traditional approach to things, and like dynasties and legacies. Now, there are bespoke allusions to both. Delusions and illusions of grandeur being the obvious for the Seven of Wands, King of Wands energy, and a comfortability with the familiar in an ever changing world being that for the dynasty and the journeyman. The more traditional, hardworking energy. On the other side, we have the giveaway with the owl and the eagle. I don't know why I went for the mystical shaman oracle cards, expecting anything, anything remotely graspable. But in a way, you could say there's like the apex bird of the day and the night. The owl being the one of night and the moon, the eagle being the one of day and the sun. both of them also, the owl more so known for its wisdom, the eagle known as like a messenger of the gods and stuff like that, right? But both of them, it feels like both also have like a messenger kind of tendency to it. I don't know what's the owl the messenger of. I know owls are associated with like Athena and stuff. Owl messenger of death. Oof, girl, is it? Owls are depicted as messengers, particularly from the spiritual realm or carrying important news. They are often associated with wisdom, guidance, and transformation. In some traditions, owls serve as warnings or omens, while in others, they are symbols of positive change and foresight. Yeah, they're both seen as messengers. And this is the AI overview. So, we take it with a grain of salt. I wonder if AI, it's fine. We saw sap of the moon plant or like sap of the moonflower in the golden rose when I was getting the final alchemy yesterday. And it was like there's this rose in the daytime and the rose at night. The golden rose, as I mentioned then, is here. Where there is or was a void in the Kabbalah tree of life. Now, ancestry would be one thing that I could see uniting these two things, where the energy of like a standalone stand apart isn't in contrast, in I guess in contrast to like dynasty and legacy and traditionalism, especially in a world that has gotten so far from us like traditional root, right? Someone could be a standout and return to their traditional roots or ancient or preserved passed on practices, tapping into ancestry, genealogy while standing apart in the world and rising to the challenge of and rising above whatever this chaos of an ever shifting world is. That makes me think of, I'm pretty sure it's the King of Pentacles in the um, Dreamer, Mystical Dreams Tarot. And I think I have that one in storage. I don't think I have that one on me. One that combines traditions, ancient knowings, and modern knowledge to move forward into the future, combining both. Breakthrough and liberation. I just like love this combination of cards, especially because like the outlaw came out here with the element of water. And then we have breakthrough, leap of faith, freedom, new beginnings, number 4, and liberation, power, fulfillment, self attainment. Now, around water, again, we have these two messengers in the eagle and the owl. Fuck, what more is there to say? Maybe that's it. Maybe I can. Maybe this will be under an hour. Um, the gap was filled by whatever it was filled by, as it needed to be. Also, Heart of the Sky is here. When it was like trust in celestial assistance. Trusted celestial assistants, and then we have these messengers. The giveaway is there with air. And because the crown chakra is there, that could be almost like yesterday with the moon and the queen of swords backing the knight of swords and letting someone know that something would be revealed. And even that energy feels like it adheres to the codes of free will and discovery more so, no, less so than this energy with the high priestess, the archangel, commander, and the quester. Because again, this is an energy of like true guidance. And it feels like the energy that came out yesterday that was like, hey, you may want to wait. I can't tell you exactly what is happening, but something is going to happen fairly soon. And you're going to be glad to have that knowledge when you make this choice and decision. Again, I can't tell you what it is, but I can tell you that if you don't wait, you're going to wish that you would have, if you ever find out, you know? So even like the give, it takes me back to when I saw the Page of Swords and the Nine of Cups in the Fable Makers animated tarot, the Watchdog of the Shimmering Veil, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned it. I know I mentioned it yesterday. I don't necessarily fully remember the context, probably in much of this context here, of like something changing, something happening. Excuse me. I think if I think about the world at large, again, a lot of the illusions are bespoke illusions. It's to convince people in certain geographical areas with certain knowledges and histories to view something in a particular way. The world is more interconnected than it's ever been in recent history, recent ish history. Um, and we have the power, the ability, if we have the desire, to see different perspectives, right? We no longer have to necessarily rely on a single outlet or resource for information, right? People are on social media all over the world. You can get like a person who is somewhere's perspective on like what's happening. And it's yes, it's another perspective, and we all have our own perspectives, but the bespokeness of these illusions almost rely on a certain amount of ignorance, or at the very least, a lack of access. Well, I guess that's still ignorance, right? And so it's like if you really look or really listen or really watch, the narratives are falling apart all over the place. Narratives have been falling apart for some time now, which is a comfort um, for those who need it. I am those often, sometimes. I feel like this doesn't say what replaces the gap. Like because again, this is it's like there's something that relies on a brain's ability to auto populate, right? And in all of its mechanisms, it could be like a confirmation bias that gets us to think certain things. It could be again like a lack of firsthand, um, first or secondhand, a lack of firsthand or reliable secondhand exposure to something where it's just like we come up with our best guess. Like there'll be times where like something will be happening and like you could come up on a situation and have assumptions of how whoever got wherever, have assumptions on how something turned out the way it turned out. Like you could be driving by an accident and be so quick to be like, oh, well, people shouldn't be rushing around or people should be paying attention to the road or whatever, having absolutely no idea of what actually transpired in that situation. But we make these quick, passive judgments and just like keep going about our day or have those informed choices and decisions. But the point was, or question is, it's like a question of the conclusions that we reach and the way the changes that result when we do actually look at things. And obviously, it's one of those, well, we decide as humanity, we decide as a collective of individuals and as individuals in positions of authority or power what moving forward looks like. And moving forward, just like forward in time, right? We can move forward in time and revert to things that we've already done. And it's not all bad, right? Again, there is this Goldilocks sweet spot of like someone who takes on like ancient, traditional, passed on methodologies or beliefs or practices that gets you like none of the side effects and maladies of a modern era with all of the remediation, right? Where is this it? I feel like this is a fairly tame ICC. I was like, what the freak is this? Cool. Oh, yeah, let's get final cards. We're gonna get this as close to an hour as we can. And again, we make that choice and decision. The garment for all occasions. I remember when I was like doing this, there were some things I was like, I don't know what this means because I wasn't like actively using the cards while I was making them. It was more so what some people would call like channeling, right? And I say what some people would call channeling because I'm not necessarily going to call it channeling. It was impressions based off of much of this, right? I rolled the dice, I had the correspondences. What is this like? What's the impression that I get from this? Put it on the card. There are some things that was like, I don't know. There were some things that came out, and I was like, in the readings that I've done or in what I know of life, I could see how like this would apply or that would apply. And it was some of them that was like, I have no clue what this means. Some of them were like, I can't wait to actually use these so I can get some kind of context on this. But the garment for all occasions, if I'm remembering correctly, it's not like I guess it's kind of um like a, how is it you have universal donors and receptors for blood types. You have a universal solvent for solutions. It's like, applicable in nearly any situation and circumstance, but the garment is like tailored. It's not one size. Well, I don't know how one size fits all because most of one size fits all doesn't fit me, so or it hasn't. So I don't know how like tailored a one size fits all thing is. If it's like a little snug on some and a little baggy on others, and then there are the people who it's just right for. Um, but the garment for all occasions, it's like there's a tailored aspect to it. So there's a generality and that it can be applied to many things, but there's also a specificity that it's almost like you get a different facet or a different flavor or a different color, shade, tint, or hue, depending on like the lighting of the situation and stuff like that. I am going to do final cards, so this is going to push it over an hour. But that's fine. I don't hold myself to, obviously, most of the time, I don't hold myself to time limits. Excuse me. And I guess the high priestess and devil energy would be like pre-programmed thinking. Devil energy would be like how we think or feel about something because of everything that we've experienced up until a certain point in time, right? And that could be thinking that validates what we've experienced, or it could be thinking that attempts to invalidate it, right? And then the high priestess is like the truth of what's actually like happening. Devil energy is the illusion. It's the thing that we can too quickly fall into if we're not careful, right? Because in how many playing card decks do you come across red spades and black hearts? Oh, there's a card still over here. Good thing I didn't get a funnel card from this deck, or I would have been doing it again. The Outlaw is still here. And the Outlaw has like an Eye of the Sun and the Eye of the Moon, but the Eye of the Sun is like a Merkaba. I don't know if you can tell. Are you gonna focus? You can kind of. There you go. The Eye of the Sun is like a Merkaba. And then there's the Eye of the Moon. There's the Ankh that holds the foot of the outlaw, and then whatever is written in the sky behind it. And it almost feels like that plays on that illusion versus truth energy. The young symbolizing life. It's almost like we look at time sometimes as a parameter that is important for life on earth, right? But in higher dimensions and in certain matters, time is it behaves differently, right? It's almost like there are things that are true because in order for life to exist in the way that it does, they must be, right? So the atoms of living things don't just like drift apart. There's a certain like magnetism and gravity that needs to be sort of maintained in order to like keep things from disintegrating, right? You can integrate and then you can disintegrate. And it's like that. It's like there are these cosmic truths that exist outside of life, and then there are the limitations of the living type of energy. Oh, the title card. Because of course it's the title card. That's a title card I respect. Oh, and then it did flip over. Am I gonna take it? No, because I'm shuffling all the decks. Then it just blurred right back up. It's fine. Oh, and I almost wonder if because there's an energy. This is more so musings and personal wandering, musing of like. I wonder if some of those truths Like for things that exist beyond time and for things that exist beyond incarnate life. If it could be dangerous to know while someone is alive, incarnate, and like functioning on planet Earth, right? It would be like someone trying to not necessarily channel, someone being a vessel for forces beyond life that would cause their body to like shift and vibrate at a rate that would cause their atoms to like fall apart. You know what I mean? And then they start to fall apart. And it's like it's almost like that kind of danger. Like it can be dangerous to the living because of what it would do to their mind, souls, bodies, whatever, what have you. Right? And that could you could scale that down or up, however, right? Like let's say that you are working at a company and you have a role that makes you responsible for something, but you're not necessarily like IT or the person who wrote the programs that you're using, right? Or like it could be one of those like you're responsible for the code, but you're not responsible for the equipment or the hardware. So you doing your job, there's some efficiency hack that you come up with or that you find and you implement it into your code and you run it, and then there's like catastrophic failure. And there's catastrophic failure because the code is incompatible with the hardware. You can tell the machine what to do, but if the machine doesn't have the equipment and the attachments or the specificity of the control of certain parameters, it can't do what the code is telling it to do. So it ends up in failure. And in the territory of the high priestess, and further extension by the title card, it's one of those, it's that like the territory of what's dangerous for us to know before we're ready to know it. Because now we're trying to do this or we're trying to do that, not necessarily thinking of the feasibility of it. And it is not apparently within the realm of spirituality, manifestation, and energetic thinking to consider what is feasible. It's pretty much, in a lot of ways, the hallmark of it to use the spiritual to bypass the physical, to use code to bypass hardware. And with good code, you can push hardware to like operate in ways that are like very efficient and stuff like that. But again, if it's not within the capability, then it could be disastrous. Uh, all right. There's only four. Yeah, there's only four. Cool. Final disology, claim flipper, claim fall. Actually, we'll get that one last. We'll do the final mystical shaman first. Claim flipper, claim fall. It makes me think of almost two. Not necessarily this, but there are a few like animes in particular, like either reincarnation shows or shows where people go back in time and in someone's like previous life or in where their timeline was, they acquired like skills, some of those skills being a function of the mind or body, right? So if someone was like a warrior, then there's muscle training and agility and all this other stuff that if they reincarnate as a baby or if they go back in time, physically their bodies can't do what they can if they were where they were. Or if they were in their new present where they were in their relative past, right? Like if you're an adult and you reincarnate as a baby, you may not be able to reach as high on the shelf to grab the things as you could when you were an adult, right? You go from being 4, 5, 6, 7 feet tall to like one, maybe. Well, babies will be like more than 12 inches, right? I mean, babies range in size. So I feel like a foot long baby. I don't know. Do people pass foot long babies? Some of them do, like big babies. Anyway, it's kind of like that. Could be like that, right? Maybe someone doesn't have the stamina because their body isn't as trained and toned as it was. And people, we can do that in our lives without being reincarnated, right? If you're ever in a situation and environment where you're like very active, and then for whatever reason you're not, without the stamina that you used to have, there are certain things that you're not necessarily going to be able to do that you could at another point in time. And pushing yourself could be dangerous. From dangerous to like relatively uncomfortable, right? Not everything is necessarily catastrophic. All right, mystical shaman, your final card, please. I'm feeling the element of fire, but also like a magma. I don't think there is a magma in this deck. I'm gonna keep shuffling until I get that final card. So, oh gosh, that was the dirtiest fall. Thunder, number 56. Shouldn't be surprised to see thunder or lightning in this deck. The circle, thunder in the circle, giving me Wankantanka or Wakantanka energy. The drum isn't here. I felt like it felt like more than one card fell, but I only see the one. So yeah, thunder at the bottom. The circle came out. I'm gonna look before and after the next numerological 8. Okay. Oh, one of them has a mirror. The first numerological 8 I found was 35, and right behind it is 53. 988889. Wind again. So we have the sun and wind with the circle. And the medicine wheel is the 8 that I'm looking before and after. The medicine wheel and the circle, it's giving like seasons, it's giving cycles. The wheel of fortune with the medicine wheel and the circle being the 10th major, the difference between 53 and 63 being 10. I gotta go to the restroom. I'll be right back. I was gonna hold it, but it's getting a little tough. Oh no, memento. Poor favor. Don't ask, because I do not know. All right. So I guess this is in line with the whole. So the Six of Swords, King of Swords, High Priestess, the Quester, the Archangel, Commander, and the Priestess energy is almost one of like you have everything that you need to be successful in your next endeavor. Whatever that endeavor is, whatever the challenge is, you have everything that you need to be successful. So there's nothing that needs to be said. There's also a concurrent energy of um, the choices and decisions that we make. Like everything that we need has been presented to us. Right. The sun and the wind. The wind is the result of rotational forces, right? And the sun is an external force. It's like gravity? Question mark. I don't even know. Wind and gravity. Wind, water, and gravity. Hello? What is that? Gravity is a fundamental force that plays an indirect but crucial role in wind formation. It is responsible for holding the atmosphere to the Earth, and it also creates a pressure gradient in the atmosphere, which is a key factor in wind generation. However, wind itself is primarily caused by differences in air pressure and temperature, not directly by gravity's pull and air molecules. I wasn't thinking gravity's pull and air molecules. I'm more thinking like um, because of like the gravity of Earth and the moon and their relative distance, the moon is like tide locked to the Earth, right? Because of the gravity of the Earth and the sun and their relative distance, the Earth isn't tide locked to the sun, right? Earth still rotates. The rotation of the Earth is what, and apparently differences in air pressure and stuff like that, is what creates wind. It's like maybe the circle is an interplay of external forces. And it's like, look at the sky in all three of these. It's like they're all happening in the same place, under the same sky. But we still have thunder. There was a like a what's it called? It's like a red fairy or a red pixie or something like that. That some astronaut took a picture of maybe a week ago, a few days to a week ago. And it's like what happens when thunder goes up rather than it striking down. I don't know. Or is it like elves? They're like elves and other, I forget what they call them. Under thunder is the curse. Oof. That's an interesting combination. It has an energy of like a deafening silence. Um, Deafening silence or invisible bonds or chains, right? Like something that isn't spoken, but that holds immense power over people. And then this is all about external forces and relative forces. She's almost giving external versus internal circumstance. There's a interplay that is not entirely, I forget what word I was about to use. There's an interplay between external forces that comprises the situation that we find ourselves in. And even the things that aren't spoken, even the things that aren't said, even the things that remain silent are a part of that. They don't like lose their seat at the table because they don't participate in conversation. And sometimes silence is worse. Sometimes silencing something is worse. Like, it's almost like you could live in a cave underground, or you could live in the depths of an ocean to the point where you never see sunlight. But that doesn't free you from experiencing the effects of the sun on you, because there are effects that are greater than those that like we see, right? Like gravity. If it wasn't for the sun, I wonder if we would just be crushed. If we would be crushed on the surface of this planet, just like gravity pulling us in. It's almost like this may probably isn't scientifically accurate, but it's like the gravity of the sun pulls us towards the sun, and the gravity of the earth pulls us towards the earth, and we're at a distance where we stay on the surface. We're not pulled into space, and we're not pulled into the core against the surface where we're just like crushed. It's this like happy medium type balance, whatever. Celestial assistance at the bottom of the deck would be with Utopia. All right. Oh, that was immediate, and it's the Guardians. The Guardians and transformation. The Guardians is shielding, defense, and warning. Transformation in magical realms. Excuse me. Metamorphosis, synchronicity, the unexpected is transformation. Is this one of those take it as it resonates? I could read from the book, but I don't think I'm going to. Yeah, I'm not going to. Low hanging fruit. This is like a Guardians of Transformation, but the Guardians of Transformation gives a certain inevitability. It feels like an encroachment upon free will and choice. Kind of, sort of, not necessarily. It feels like it's an encroachment upon free will and choice if someone is like enforcing something that we have no choice but to abide by. But at the same time, if someone is doing something as a consequence to something that we've chosen, then it still falls within the realm of us having free will, right? It's like a kid and a parent. If, like, a teenager, low hanging fruit, a teenager has free will and they can make whatever choices and decisions that they do. They make a choice or decision that gets them like grounded or punished or takes away their access to something, right? Now it's like they can't do the thing that they want to do, which could be seen as a violation of their free will, but they can't do that because it's a consequence of how they previously used that free will. So yeah, part of this feels like you can't do this until something happens, type whatever. Another part of this feels like there are people who have transformed that will rise to be guardians, because you could say that these two are the same, but this one is more in a transformative state, right? And then as it settles, it's like less ethereal, more corporeal. Right. These one cards are kind of rough. The wish granted and the burdened one. That's an interesting combination. You would assume that the burdened one would wish for freedom. It's almost like wasting a wish. If someone is the burdened one, relatively, right? Let's say that someone is the burdened one, and because they're the burdened one, if they can make a wish, they're probably going to wish for their freedom, right? But like, let's say that something is already transpiring so that the person would be free, so that the person would be freed. And it's like the wish would be granted, a manifestation, a prayer would be fulfilled, but it's going to be fulfilled anyway, right? Like if someone has one wish left through a genie and they wish for $1 million, right? And they get $1 million, but it's like someone else wins the lottery and they're going to give like a person $1 million anyway. That wish could have been used for something else because like they're already going to get that million. I guess the point of this is it was like, of course the burdened one is going to wish for their freedom, but it was like an energy of like the burdened one not wishing for what you'd think the burdened one would wish for, but their suffering is ended either way. We've already seen liberation and breakthrough, so we already know that that's happening. So the burdened one doesn't have to wish for freedom because freedom is happening. And it's almost another play on that Knight of Swords. It kind of is a play on that Knight of Swords, Two of Wands energy, which is like, just wait. Like, if you wait a little bit, something is going to happen. And the choice, decision, wish, whatever that you make is going to be completely different. However that plays out. Goodness, that was a little chaotic, but nothing flipped and nothing fell. All right, that was a smooth flip. That's the Reaper. The Reaper and the Hierophant. Under the Hierophant is the Giver. 4, 5, 6. Well, 13, 5, 6. Scorpio and Taurus. That is astrological axis. The axis of like possessions, right? Someone's personal possessions and the possessions of other people. Second house, eighth house, and other stuff. You could, nah, it's fine. Passage to initiation, master of the arcanes. Does this fall into that? I don't even necessarily know if I fully remember. I'm gonna pull before and after the outlaw. It feels like we have a lunar eclipse. This is between the Tower and New World Order. The Tower and the World. Oh, look, we have the Bull of Taurus and the Eagle of Scorpio. So there's this Merkaba floating in the sky. Oh, yeah. You see all these like beams of light. We also see them on the Outlaw. One of them ends in the Reaper. Another one of them ends on New World Order. Right? So it's like there's this hierophant between them. But the axe of Shiva that removes corruption on that tower. So it's like this Merkaba is descending and it's going to like socket fall into the eye of this. Oh, let's do it like that. Let's do it like this. I think I turned. There you go. It's going to fall into the eye of the Hierophant. That's why we're looking before and after the outlaw. Another 4 in the Emperor on one side and the Captor on the other. Jupiter and Gemini and Aries. Jupiter is currently in Gemini, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because it's not in Cancer. Jupiter is in Gemini, I'm pretty sure. And Aries holds Neptune and Saturn before they retrograde, Chiron. And maybe something else, I don't remember. What was I just talking about? I don't remember. There's something here. going back to cosmic rules that aren't necessarily reality friendly. This Reaper feels like a greater initiation. Right. Now, to get this Merkaba into the eye, it doesn't invoke pleasant imagery. It invokes something that reads like torture. But at the result, it's like someone is now a vessel for like greater forces, right? It's almost like I feel like with a lot of like werewolf transformations, the first ones are like painful as someone's body is like ripping itself apart and reconstituting itself. Um, there is also an energy that's almost like if you don't fight the process, it's easier. Almost like the shift and the change itself isn't painful, but it's because of what's happening and because of how it's like it's because of how someone thinks they should feel as they're going through a transformation that the brain creates pain to be experienced because it believes that something should be painful, right? If your arm breaks and then unbreaks, like if you know that it's happening, then your brain is like broken arms hurt and setting a broken arm hurts. So I'm going to produce this pain so that the physical sensations align with physical reality. Like the physical sensations align with what's happening in physical reality. Right? The Hierophant's eyes are closed, but I'm assuming they have both of their eyes. One of them will have to be gouged out for this Merkaba to be socketed into. I want to keep the Hierophant upright and put the Outlaw in reverse, but I keep putting the Hierophant in reverse. Right. Even if like the Hierophant is already missing an eye, to shove that Merkaba into that eye socket reads painful because of TV shows and stuff like that, movies, werewolves in their first transformation, different procedures, Um, but because the Emperor is here, it feels like with a sufficient force. And you don't see the other eye of the Emperor. You only see one eye. Ooh, doo, doo, doo. um, I don't know. It's suspicious. Even with the captor, you can kind of see her other eye. And even with the Emperor, it's like you see his eyebrow, but you don't necessarily see his eye. Both of these are kind of like turned to the side on either side of this outlaw. This almost makes me think of the moon. I think it was Cancer and then it was the moon and the Dysology program. That was like the light of the sun and the anti sun. There are these two different things that are simultaneously like true. And the moon reflects both of them. Not surprising since we've seen the eagle and the owl, the messenger of light and night. We saw the golden rose and the sap of the moonflower. What this means? I feel like there's any number of ways that you could apply this, right? Someone is going through a change and they assume that a change will be painful, so the change is painful, right? Someone It's low hanging fruit. Someone is going through a healing journey. Everyone that they come across says that the journey is lonely and it's isolating and you're not going to have any friends. And so it becomes that. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like not that either. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that because that is what someone believes, they like conduct themselves in such a way where it becomes reality. Again, you can apply it anywhere. And the giver is at the bottom. Moon and Taurus. Taurus is right here. Behind, I love this combination. Behind the giver is the Chancellor, which is justice. Something isn't given by mistake. It's given because it is deserved. The Chariot and the Initiate is behind that Chancellor. It's almost, again, it's because of what someone has already accomplished. It's because of who someone is that they are given whatever they're given. And maybe if something was taken instead of the thing being given, it would be more painful, right? Taking a force taking it external power by force and forcefully integrating it into someone's body is a much different experience than someone naturally growing in a way. Of course, there are going to be like growing pains, but growing pains aren't nearly as excruciating as surgical amputation and reattachment and dis. I almost want to say like dysmorphification. It's like transmogrification, but like dis-transmogrification. Right. Like if you have a surgery to do something, it's probably going to be more painful than if something were to like naturally happen. You know what I mean? Right. Like if someone's naturally 6 feet tall, the growing pains that they went through is one thing. But if someone's like 5'10" and they cut bone from their arms and attach it to their legs so that their legs are 2 inches longer and their arms are 2 inches shorter, that's different. Anyway. Oh, yeah. The conservator, Four of Pentacles, right? Something that is something being freely given that may usually be withheld. Behind that is the warrior, the herald of the winds, and the eminence. Cool. This was down here. Master of the Arcanes, passage to initiation. This is a bodhisattva, right? That which exists on the human side of the boundary of the human and the divine, the mundane and the sublime, right? To the best of my knowledge, a bodhisattva is someone who like basically could transcend reality, but chooses to remain closer to the physical side so that they can do some good for people. Right. Cool. All right. Crimson Moon is here. There's a new show I'm watching. It's a world that's kind of the same, but their moon is like a crimson moon instead. It's like 3 episodes in, and it's a whole bunch of a whole bunch that I'm not gonna. I feel like I haven't necessarily spoken about this chapter, but A metaphor for this, right? Because again, there's this like whole light, dark, sun and moon metaphor and play. There is, and speaking of like the sublime, with the sublimation defense mechanism of channeling things into positive outlets versus repression. Um, there is a light and a dark to this, right? The light is easier to manage because it plays better to human sensibilities. And I guess you could say that the dark is easier to manage for some because it plays into their sensibilities generally, and giving people the benefit of the doubt. Um, we are naturally lean towards naturally inclined towards the light because it's like positive and loving and happy and stuff like that, right? Especially contextually according to the narratives that we grow up on, a lot of us in the west at the very least. But when it comes to the dark, it's like always evil or something to be whatever. So let's say we go through a typical spiritual indoctrination where shadow work can be something that's more of repression than an actual reaching a space of self recognition, self love, and acceptance, and uh, that sublime defense of like channeling our darkness into a more positive alignment with our light, the chariot behind this justice, where they work together rather than working separately to one another, right? So now you have this power that incorporates both the light and the dark, right? There is the triangle of fire and subsequently air that interlocks with the triangle of water and subsequently earth. There's going to be one experience that you could have if you integrate and have that positive relationship between your light and your dark. And then there's the experience that you would have if you lean towards one and suppress the other. And that could be a source of like pain. I don't know what this kind of pain is. I don't know. Oh my gosh, it's been a whole hour since I got enough on cards. Because of course it has. And that's what this Eight of Swords is. It's either or. And you kind of see both, right? There are two buildings. One of light, one of dark, you could say. And as long as one remains captive, that's what causes some kind of friction or discomfort or pain, or that's what puts the dis in dysmorphification or distransmorphification. It attempts to force something. Goodness. All right. And again, that plays into getting the truth of something, getting at the truth of something rather than um, allowing ourselves to play on narratives and previous beliefs and stuff like that. I was thinking about that earlier of how Jupiter was exactly sextile where it was 14 years ago, right? Where it was in 2011. Let's just cut the math out. Um, yeah, yeah, 14 years ago. Um, and it was that whole like whoever goes to Jupiter to get more stupider, but it's someone getting more stupider because their world has expanded. Now they know of all of these things that they know they don't know, rather than being comfortable in all of the things that they do. Um, I was going somewhere with that. I was thinking of Jupiter. I was thinking of that. I feel like I just had a thought, and in trying to explain it, I lost it. Jupiter in Gemini was that Eight of Swords. The card that came out is a Joker, prophetic dreams, inspired action, tapping into the other side. Big on that tapping into the other side energy. There's something about a whole self integration that allows for a vessel to be alive and interact with, accommodate for, have touch points and connections to that which transcends um, incarnate reality. Bottom of the deck is rearrangement and coagulation, seeing the truth of the self, distorted creations abound. Cool. Literally. And that's it. I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and where you find. And yeah, again, it plays into the energy of that like paradigmatic shift of yesterday, of a certain level of awareness that may be beneficial, right? As we look at things that are happening in our lives and happening in the world, it can be easy to have, hey, Ollie, it can be easy to have previous experiences and historical context color our perception of what is happening and what the result will be. But it's like if we keep paying attention, we'll notice black hearts and red spades. Cool. I'm going to pull one of these because I thought I'd use it and I haven't. And this is what I'm going to end it on. Because I don't know, I'm like kind of obsessed. Kind of. Was that Voltefacian? No, it was a sedum. Ooh. She is not shuffling. There we go. That's better. All right. An alchemy card, please. Not necessarily feeling entirely whatever, but I pulled the box out, so for some reason I thought I'd find zodiac signs in here instead of planets. Ooh. Calcification, Calcanatio. This card came out recently, I'm pretty sure. 64. Bottom of the deck is Sanguis, blood. 64 and 37. Almost a bear. Excuse me. Let's read calcification. LXIV. Heat, fire, and desire. Oh, is this that fiery magma energy I was feeling that didn't come out? Calcanatio is the great alchemical operation of fire. It occurs when there is enough heat in the vessel to transform the nature. Oh, okay. All right. Not completely off base. It occurs when there is enough heat in the vessel to transform the nature of that which is solid or fixed. How does calcinatio begin? With a tiny glimmer, an urge, a desire that builds into a robust flame. On a psychic level, this stage may be an uprising of emotion that has been repressed or dismissed. It wants something big to change, to be brought to the light and purified, perhaps a flawed ideology, institution, or outlook. Frustration and anger are wondrous change makers if their heat is channeled with space, time, and awareness. The transformation that occurs from calcinatio is rarely harmonious. It requires commitment and a willingness to sit through discomfort as old patterns fall into the ashes. The flame initiates sacred change, and eventually the phoenix rises. Interesting. Well, there you go. Not completely off base. Love it. Yeah, so I hope everything that I hope for you. And I hope everything that I hope for you for me. Well, like I said about the whole bugs thing, there are some things that I hope for other people that it's not like that I don't hope it for me, but there is a certain brand of experience that I know I want. And I know that the experience and experiences that I desire aren't always the ones that others desire. So that's why I hope that whatever you wish on your path, journey, and way you find, that's why I hope that you're acting in alignment with whatever your heart desires, right? Right? I wonder if I can go back and be like, when did I start saying that? Anyway, now that I'm like trying to talk about it, I can't even remember. Um, Again, take it if it resonates. If it don't resonate, don't take it. If it does resonate, apply a heaping amount of discernment. Um, and yeah, transformations abound, and they start at home in the heart and the individual. Individuals change before, while, and after collectives do. Collectives of individuals, I guess if it's a hive mind type situation, then everything kind of sort of changes all at once. Question mark? If the minds are connected to the hive mind, then they would. If differentiation isn't needed, right? Like if you don't need one part of a mind to do one thing and another part of the mind to do another thing, then the entirety of the mind would change all at once. Anyway.